Thank you so much for being here for our webinar today. We are focusing today on certified wellness coaches, voices from California's new wellness support profession. While you are getting settled in for the next hour, just going over a couple of housekeeping items, we will be recording today's webinar. So we will be sending out after this to all of the registrants the recording, the slides, as well as any follow-up resources that we talk about through today's presentation. And if you're having any audio issues, please just know that you can go to the webinar invite and log in using a phone number instead. So we shared during the registration about our webinar agreement that you agreed to. So just as a reminder, we ask that you be present and ready to learn. If you are communicating in the chat, please do so in a respectful way that contributes to a positive learning environment and that really strengthens our advocacy and allyship with children and youth. We are the California School-Based Health Center, who's the sponsor of today's webinar. If you're not familiar with us, we are a statewide nonprofit. We are dedicated to improving the health and academic success of young people and children by advancing health services in schools. And our work is really based in two concepts. One is that healthcare should be accessible and located where kids are, and that schools should have the services needed to ensure that poor health is not a barrier to learning. We do our work through capacity building, through webinars and workshops, and an annual conference. We are linking in the chat our website so you can learn more about us and see all of the free resources that are available that really help to bring more health services into schools. We also have lots of resources specifically related to CYBHI and certified wellness coaches. We are a member organization, so if your organization is not a member, please consider it. While all of our resources are free, as members you get some different perks like conference registration discounts and technical assistance that's tailored specifically to your organization. You can scan the QR code or click on the link that's in the chat to sign up and find out more. And finally, we do have an annual conference that I mentioned, the Power Partnership. Our conference this year is in Los Angeles, in Universal City, April 27th and 28th, and we encourage folks to attend. We will be opening registration soon. We are accepting workshop submissions from the school health field. So we love to elevate best practices and models. So we also are dropping that information into the chat for you. So I'm really pleased today to bring you a panel of certified wellness coaches. You're going to meet them all in a moment, but first, here's a quick snapshot of who they are. CSHA has sponsored a number of webinars specifically about certified wellness coaches. We've shared information about this new profession in California, including the story behind the launch of certified wellness coaches, the pathways to becoming a certified wellness coach, qualifications, supervision requirements, the scope and breadth of the work, and the connection to the CYBHI Fee Schedule. But this is the first webinar in which we're centering the voices of certified wellness coaches themselves, the people who can best tell you what this role really is and what they do each day to support student well-being. So when you registered, we asked if you had any questions that you wanted to get answered. And we've received so many questions from you. So thank you for that. Many will be answered from the certified wellness coaches themselves, but we also just have an hour. So we know that not every question is going to get answered, but rest assured we have lots of resources. We have links that we will give you, and you can absolutely follow up with me if you need to be connected to someone or some more information. So our objectives for today's webinar are that you, the participants, will be able to name 3 ways that certified wellness coaches support the well-being of students in a wellness center, school-based health center, or school setting, and that you be able to describe how certified wellness coaches integrate into multidisciplinary care teams and school systems to address behavioral health needs. So, certified wellness coaches. In an effort to increase the state's overall capacity to support the growing behavioral health needs of children and youth, the California Department of Healthcare Access and Information, or HCI, received $338 million of funding through the Children and Youth Behavioral Health Initiative to design and launch the Certified Wellness Coach workforce. It's designed to help build a larger and more diverse and representative behavioral health workforce in California that has the training and supervision needed to engage directly with young people. The very first certified wellness coach was certified February 2024, so that's about 20 months ago. And as of this Monday, there are 3,380 certified wellness coaches in California. So now I want to introduce you to 8 of those certified wellness coaches. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen and ask that our certified wellness coaches who are in the room will introduce themselves briefly, starting with Jasmine.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jasmine Montalvo. I'm a student support specialist at CWCs High School with CWCs Unified School District. I have been here for 2 weeks, but previously for 7 school years was with Westport Elementary in the same district. So I was working with elementary level TK through 6th grade for many years and have moved over to the high school setting for just a few weeks, so getting readjusted to a different age group. So I'll be chatting a little bit about both groups and age levels, which I'm really excited about and have been having a great time in the high school setting, but I do have much more experience working with the elementary level, so I'll talk a lot more about that. And so we're located right here in the Central Valley, and I'm very happy to be here with you all.
Hello, my name is Sakina Ali, and I'm a wellness liaison with Santa Clara County Office of Education. I'm placed at Lakewood Elementary, which is in Sunnyvale, and I go ahead and support TK and TK through 5th grade.
Good afternoon. I'm Tristan Caro. I'm a wellness coach at Berry Creek Elementary School, and I am located in Berry Creek, which is in far northern California, up above, into the foothills above Oroville, California. So looking forward to spending some time together.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brittany Jimenez, and I'm the student support specialist here at Carafel Elementary and CWCs, also located in the Central Valley. And I'm currently working with the age group of TK through 6th grade. So I'm happy to be here with all as well.
Hello, my name is Carl Travis. I am a certified wellness coach with the Butte County Office of Education, and I am stationed at Oroville High School, where I work with high school students.
Hi, I'm Gloria Cruz. I am an administrative assistant recently for a month now at Westport Elementary, TK through 6 as well. But for the last 7 years, I was also a student support specialist for CWCs Unified, also K through 6. I have some minimal experience with secondary. And yeah, we're also in the CWCs area in the Central Valley.
Hi, everyone. I am Dawn Davis. I am a wellness coach for Butte County Office of Education. I am placed at Palermo Middle School, which is a middle school with about 450 students. I have been doing this job for 1.5 years now, and I'm really looking forward to sharing more with you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lupe Santos, and I am a wellness coach with the Butte County Office of Education. I am at the site Las Plumas High School that's located here in Oroville in Butte County.
Great. Thank you all for those introductions. I'm going to now ask some questions first question I have is for everyone, and we'll just sort of do a little round robin. But really, one of the things that a lot of folks asked when they registered was wanting to hear more about a typical day in the life of a certified wellness coach. So how would you describe your day? How do you most frequently engage with students, with staff, with families in the school environment? And what strategies do you use to build support, to build rapport, and serve as a wellness champion on campus? And so I'm going to ask Jasmine to answer this question first.
All right, so I'll go ahead and touch base again on both sites and the levels that I worked with. When I was at the elementary level, one of the biggest parts that I did to both build rapport with students and families was to be outside at drop off and pick up every single day. So being able to have access to build the rapport with parents and with students, siblings, families, whether that was, aunts and uncles that were dropping off or grandparents, really helped to build up the relationship that they knew that there was a familiar face on campus. So when I would give those phone calls of, hey, I was supporting your student today in the wellness center, or hey, I was supporting them in a one-on-one check-in or in groups, or if they were going to be referred, they already knew who I was because I had started building up that rapport outside and across campus. So that's one of my biggest ways to engage with them outside of a crisis check-in before anything like that had to occur. But also giving classroom lessons at the elementary level was very common, almost a weekly occurrence. Whether that was an SEL lesson, whether it was something more closely related to PBIS type of things, but behavioral expectations, never so much the discipline side of things, but always more like this is the skills that we're utilizing within the classroom. And then having the Wellness Center open for students to come in and visit. And I had a schedule that was created that worked well with my site and what it looked like for our school. So students came in based on their grade levels. So each grade level had a different day that they would come in and it was available at any time. And then, of course, on the other times when teachers would call and say, hey, I need to check in. And then on the day-to-day, besides those things of building those rapports with kiddos, was being able to utilize our check-ins with students that were on my caseload. And we use the Wellness Center at the elementary site to do that. Here at the high school level, I'm meeting with my students who are regularly on my caseload in our one-on-one sessions or in group sessions. And then I'm also utilizing our wellness centers on Wellness Wednesdays. So on Wednesdays today, we created little hanging skeletons. Students got to paint them. We're in there chatting. I'm building rapport with students as I'm new onto the campus. I'm going around and just chatting with them. Hey, I'm the new S3 on the campus and trying to build some rapport with them. Just talking to them. Yesterday, we were doing rock painting for Red Ribbon Week. So just going out and finding kids that I can talk to and I can just build a little bit of an introduction has been really helpful and really beneficial because when I've seen them elsewhere, they're like, hey, I remember you. And I'm like, yeah, how are you doing today? So just trying to build those little connections has been great and amazing to just get my face out there and making sure that my face is out there. Because if I stayed in my office all day, they would not know me when a situation does arise and does come up, and then they're coming to me for support, and they don't want to come in and talk to you because they've never seen you around campus, which is hard. Also shadowing our school counselors and learning directors that are on our campus, shadowing some of the teachers and our admin, and just going around with them to talk to students in different capacities has also been extremely helpful. And I'm really grateful to have those types of opportunities and such a great team.
Great. Thank you so much, Jasmine. I'm going to ask the same question about a typical day to Sakina.
Awesome. Well, yes, exactly what Jasmine said, right? Building rapport is such an important aspect in this role, right? Because jumping in to support a student when they need it is not easy if they don't feel that connection with you or they don't feel safe with you. So, right, really focusing the first thing is building that rapport, and that looks very different for everybody. For myself, it took me about like 6 months just being on the campus to really be integrated with knowing the kid's name, right? And like their schedules. With the little ones, I feel like it is easier to build rapport, right? So I really focused on being outside during recess and lunchtime and during break times, and actually playing with them. And just like not even introducing myself as like, oh, this is who I am. It's like, hey, I'm here to have fun, like and trying to create that space with them. Once that was established a little bit more, I was able to also go ahead and focus on like social emotional learning, SEL, lessons in the classroom. And then I also like to do an introduction of who I am and what the Wellness Center is. And right, the space that we create as a wellness coach is important to like bring up, because this is new to not only us and everybody that's here, but it's new to these kids, right? It's new to the teachers, and so no one knows what's going on. So it's really important that we go ahead and introduce ourselves in a formal way as well. And so I'm able to go ahead and do those introductions in the classroom, talking about why I'm there, like how I'm able to help you, what services you can go ahead and ask, and if you don't know, like you're always welcome to just come in, right? So I just wanted to touch base on that, as Jasmine mentioned a lot of the similar things. So right, SEL lessons, building that rapport that works best with your age range, and then going into the classrooms and also being formal and going into not only the classrooms, I should say, is also like parent workshops that are happening and introducing yourself, staff meetings, and going in and like talking about who you are as well. So they just have familiarity of who is, supporting our students.
Thank you, Sakina. Tristan, can I invite you to share?
Yeah, thanks, Amy. I kind of explained it to my students this way because they were curious about this too. And I have quite the commute to work, and I have a Rolodex of students in my mind that I create of the ones I'm going to touch base with. And of course, I have like my tier 2 check-ins with the check-in, check-out system. And then when students start to come on campus, I'm very much of the same mentality of seeing the kids as they come in, giving them high fives. And that whole time, I'm really just like reading each kid and the circumstance that they, and the kind of like the presence that they bring onto campus, and then adding to that Rolodex of kids that I'm going to be checking on throughout the day. And oftentimes those are like micro experiences or micro interactions that I have with them that as time goes on, I then add them physically to lists of kids that I need to check on more consistently. The kids that aren't showing up on time, the kids that are like not always, that are always hungry, or the kids that are chronically absent. So I'm always adding to that Rolodex of lists of students that I need to check in with, which is super important. And a lot of that is through those little interactions. So like grabbing a kid and being like, hey, let's go put the flag up today, and like doing those little check-ins with students, and walking kids to class. And then when I do those tier 2 interventions of the check-in, check-out, I'm then checking on those students multiple times throughout the day. Like I'm walking into the classroom and I'm helping them with math. I'm walking into the classroom, I'm checking to see how they're doing with their vocab. Different little experiences that those kids have of like me checking on them, seeing how they're doing, helping them with their work. And they don't necessarily feel like they're pointed out because I work with elementary kids. They love to have anyone around them. So just being present in that way is super, super important. Now, a lot of teachers oftentimes or staff might be skeptical as to like what your role is, and define what the role of a wellness coach even is kind of hard because you don't want to be the one stuck doing yard duty because that's not your job. And so really explaining it to those teachers and those staff members, like I am your release valve. So when you have a kid who's popping off and about to, or something's happening and the temperature is too high, I'm the release valve that comes in, and I'm doing it in a casual way. Sometimes I explain it like I'm the fun uncle, like, hey, there's a bunch of balls out there. Do you want to go grab these balls? And just those interactions of grabbing a kid, removing them, having a really healthy, really good conversation. Sometimes those are 3 minutes for them to regulate themselves outside, and then they can come right back into the classroom. Sometimes it's longer conversations that need to be had on their part. But for the most part, it's literally like I'm just the release valve. And when I explain it to those administrators and I explain it to those staff members that way, they're like, oh, wait, yeah, that's right. And I explain them, I tell them, I was like, I used to be a teacher. Like Dawn and I on this panel, we both used to be administrators, or not administrators, but teachers. And we know what it's like to have tons of kids and not know what to do and really want to have that kid have the time that they need and know that it's not there in our mind. Or it's in our mind, but we can't do it. So our role is to be that person that can fit that need or fill that need that's there for that kid and for that teacher and for the school. And so that's kind of the whole objective. That's kind of how that works. And, kids go home, they tell their parents, I happened to me 2 days ago, parent calls me and is like, who are you? I'm like, oh, I'm the guy that's been standing out front talking to your kid every morning, like this is what we're doing. And this is how things are going really well with your student. And I just want them to help you have a better time at home and build a really, really good, strong relationship together. And when you put things in those perspectives, the parents jump on board really quickly too. And so that's kind of how that champion of campus kind of works, is what I attempt to do. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Tristan. Brittany, can you answer that question?
Yeah, so the way that I'm able to build the connection with the students is I'm always outside in the morning as well for morning social at our site, what we call connecting with them. Usually I have students in my check-in and check-out as well, so making sure I connect with them. If we have a late student, which I know who's chronically absent, making sure I stay with them, have breakfast with them, and just build connections with them in that way. And then also being outside present during recess. I also I do morning announcements school-wide at my site, so I'm able to, kiddos are able to know who I am. I always introduce myself every morning. Usually when I have a student who's on my caseload, making sure I contact family members, letting them know who I am, my role is, and just letting them know if they ever have any questions or need support, they could give me a call, or they could reach out to me through my email. And then as well as having the wellness room open for the students who need it every Wednesday during their lunchtime. We have passes where they're able to come in. Teachers are able to call me. They know that they're able to connect with me outside. I am also going into classrooms, making sure kiddos, have their break as needed, and along with being outside and talking to parents. Just a simple good morning goes a long way. Sometimes parents ask me, oh, who are you? Oh, I'm Miss Brittany, the student support specialist here on campus. I support students' social and emotional needs. Those go a long way, and those small connections are really meaningful. I've gotten sometimes calls from parents asking me to check in with their student because they have a loss of a loved one. So boom, right away, connect with them that way. Students able to come in with me and kind of start checking with them if they need to be referred to me, and so on. So, or if a student tells me, hey, Miss Brittany, can I please check in with you? Of course, come in during your PM break, and making sure there's follow through. Just 'cause especially working with elementary students are like, Miss Brittany, you told me this and that. I'm sorry, like I got busy, but hey, come in right now. Just making sure there's follow through. And when we say something that, we're doing it, we're applying it, just because I know sometimes that could be, break that connection with the student, along with just overall, if they tell you, oh, I'm gonna go out to the beach this weekend. If you see that student in the morning, hey, how was the beach this weekend? Oh, like, wow, Miss Brittany remembered, and just being that positive support system for them. And that's how I typically able to build connection with staff as well, or students.
Thank you so much. Carl, can I invite you into the space?
Of course, yes. Yeah, again, my name is Carl. I'm the wellness coach at Orville High School. I've been doing this work a little over a year and a half. For the first half year, we didn't have a wellness center, so I was basically just working out of my office like a counselor or a targeted case manager, just meeting with students all day, sending passes out, meeting with them. But then we opened our wellness center, and now I'm pretty much in there all day. If I'm not in a meeting or I'm in there, and teachers can call in. They can call in over the radio or over the phone, and we also have referral forms. But I'm meeting with students. They're coming in if they need to talk, or if they just need a little bit of space, they need some quiet time, or if we have a clothing closet and a food pantry. We have a washer dryer. We have hygiene products. We have pretty much anything they might need. We have, clothes, umbrellas. A typical day, though, yeah, I could see as few as 4 students in a day, or I could see as many as 18 students in a day. It really just depends on that day. And I'm always just kind of there, just waiting to see who needs what. Yeah.
great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Gloria?
Hi. So as I mentioned, the last 7 years, before I got this new role as an administrative assistant, I was a student support specialist. For the last 3 years, within our district, this looks different across our sites. But one of the things that we started implementing was the wellness centers. And part of our role as a student support specialist was to service students at a tier 1, 2, and 3. For tier 2 and 3, we had our caseload, and there was, there's a process for that. But for wellness particularly, when we start implementing the wellness room and the concept of wellness and wellness matters for our district is we would have our rotations. And we started by implementing different mindful activities, teaching our students what was the purpose of the room. I work closely with the school psych on my site. And so one of the things that we loved and we enjoyed teaching the students with making a connection was an apple a day keeps the doctor away. And that's the concept that we're trying to deliver through wellness. Teaching students to use these coping strategies so that when there wasn't a staff or adult or a wellness room available, that they were able to generalize these skills. Now, how did I was able to connect? Well, through those rotations, we would bring in whole classes. So the teachers would have to bring in their students. So we taught our teachers. We even found times throughout the week where teachers are able to take their lunch breaks in that wellness room, and we turn off the lights, dim. It was whatever mindful you can think, it was the space to be. I even went as far as doing presentations to our parents in that wellness room and did the rotations for them at least every quarterly, you can say once every 3 months, so that parents were able to see the verbiage, the tools and strategies, and blend that into home. Now, one of the things we also like to blend in was the 12 tools and zones of regulation to have some sort of curriculum to start with. But there is endless things that you can use: growth mindset books, mindful books, invisibility. Visibility is key. Being everywhere, having that snack, having that extra clothing, whatever it is, that we're able to promote to meet our students' basic needs. And from there, it's just, there's no losing them. You get their buy-in, and being visible at the gates, everywhere, recess. But and one of the last things I like to add, Wellness Wednesdays. So we also had Wellness Wednesdays where we would use data. We would use our school savers data on students that were ranking medium to high risk. And through that data, we would target those students and invite them for wellness activities during Wednesdays. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we had a drop-in time during their own time, recess time. So this looks different across all sites. It is new, but it's an ever-evolving journey, and it's exciting, and I love it.
Thank you so much, Gloria. Dawn, tell us about your typical day.
So I don't have a typical day. Every day is different. And I think I've heard everyone say that we are flexible and we just do whatever is needed. I do have my own space that I have created on campus. It's the Bulldog Boutique. And I've done a lot of outreach and networking and gotten donations. So we have a full room with hygiene products and backpacks and clothing. It is like a little boutique in there, and it's got soft lighting, and I have music playing, and students say how calming it is just to walk into that room. Sometimes teachers bring students in if they have holes in their shoes, or maybe a student will bring another student in and say, she started her period, and I can help with whatever the needs are of these students. And I tell them, when they ask me, what is a wellness coach? I say, I help students solve problems. Do you have a problem? Let's talk about it. I've had 2 students in at a time and just help them navigate a difficulty in their relationship, a challenge that they have between each other, help them identify their feelings, using restorative practices. And I also go out onto the campus, as has been mentioned. I'm looking at kids. I'm noticing if a kid is sitting by themselves at lunchtime, I can sit down with them. Or if someone has, thrown sports equipment and needs to blow off some steam, we might go for a walk. It's really being attuned to what is happening on campus. At lunchtimes, I offer different things, a wellness walk. And it's just open to anyone to join me. But sometimes I get, 5 to 10 kids, and we just go for a walk together. On Tuesdays, we do some sewing activities. I'm teaching students some basic sewing skills, and then later on how to use sewing machines, which I have in the boutique. On Wednesdays, what do we do on Wednesdays? Oh, that was today. Book club. So we just sit around and read together, which I really love. And on Thursdays, we do a journaling activity. And so I have different kids coming in at different times, sometimes in crisis and they just want to cry. Sometimes it's because it's a safe place to be and they feel like they aren't judged and it's okay to be there. I've also done work with adults. I laid on the floor for 20 minutes with a staff person while she was having a panic attack. And, we just did breathing activities and mindfulness and try to come back into this moment. I mean, these are practices that I do for myself and I model it for other people. I read in the comments, someone was asking about curriculum, and our district has adopted Ruler, although it's used at different amounts at different locations. Thank you for the time notice. I also help students organize their backpacks. I mean, really just whatever they need. And I do dismissal at the end of the day, and I'm waving at parents and helping kids get into cars to go. I want to do whatever I can to be useful on campus so that students feel seen and heard and validated. And I tell them, you can't get in trouble with me. There's nothing punitive about spending time in this space. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dawn. I'm going to invite our last wellness coach to share, Lupe.
Thank you, Amy. So my day, one thing that I think is very important is drinking water. So if you see me drinking my hydro flask, this is the one thing that I bring every day to work. And my walk to the front office is pretty long. And so, I'm going out of the wellness center. I'm filling up my water bottle, and not only am I talking to students and getting their names, but I'm also talking to staff and greeting staff, and checking in with staff to see if maybe there's some support I can provide or some support I can provide for their students. We have a bunch of different activities in our wellness center. And one thing we like to use is a self-referral system where students can self-refer if they're having a crisis in class, a difficult time with the peer, or just a difficult time with anxiety on its own when it comes to tests or, any assignment during class. They can submit a referral. We look at that referral and then go from that list and pull them into our wellness center for a break or whatever it may be, just a conversation. And yeah, that's pretty much what my typical day looks like, as well as outreaching for different donations because we have a resource room in our wellness center.
Great. Thank you so much, Lupe. As you can tell from what you've just heard, there is not really a typical day. The role requires so much flexibility. I'm going to ask some individual questions of wellness coaches. I noticed there's a lot coming through on the chat, lots of questions. I just want to let you know we have almost 200 people here today, so we are not going to be able to get to every question. Wellness coaches, if you would like to respond from your perspective to some of those questions, feel free. But just to know, for those of you who don't get your question answered today, we will try to get that information to you, reach out to us, follow up in the resources that we send. But I'm going to keep us going with questions that folks have submitted to us. And I'm going to start with you, Gloria. Can you provide some examples of how you implement wellness promotion and education activities, such as classroom presentations or wellness events? What does that look like for you?
So three main events that we do campus-wide that I used to do for the last couple of years was celebrating National Social Emotional Learning Week, National Kindness Day, but that was a whole week thing, and then Friendship Week during February. So we, spread them out throughout the school year. And so within those three school-wide activities or school-wide celebrations, we did different activities from rock painting, emotional color wheels. The options are endless. And so we would invite different groups of students. We would try to target the students using that data, but we also had days where we opened it for TK through 6, from pushing into the classrooms with read alouds to putting music out during recess times, bringing out the DJ system, during dismissal. When we did one year, we did a kindness tree. So we had parents come in at dismissal 10 minutes early, and they even partaked in doing that, writing on that kindness tree so students can see. So that was one of the ways. From classroom presentations, our Series Unified has at the high school, the NAMI Club, some of our high schools have that. And we have those students come in and present to our students 4th through 6th on wellness matters, on mental health awareness, and ways to take care of themselves, especially as they jump into state testing. Presentations, like I mentioned, we used to have monthly rotations where students would come in and they would, it was just a refresher of the coping strategies, or I would push into the classrooms and implement what we as the restorative circles or the building community circles. And so just bleeding all those cool strategies and bringing it back to why wellness matters and why it's important to be able to navigate our emotions and use all these strategies and things that we're teaching them. And like I mentioned, I also did parent coffees for parents, teaching the parents what the purpose of a wellness room is and how to utilize this, and giving them those tools so that they can also continue promoting that at home. I'm trying to see here if I am. Yeah, so I mean, I can keep going, but
yeah, thank you so much. That was awesome. Great, thanks. And thank you, wellness coaches, for chiming into the chat. I also see that we have some of our state folks from HCI here in the audience. So if there's, questions that are clearly an eligibility or a certification question that you want to jump in and put an answer to, feel free. We can learn a lot from each other in this space. Carl, I have a question for you. Can you share what's been the most significant success you've experienced as a wellness coach in supporting the behavioral health and well-being of children and youth? And if you have a specific example or outcome, we'd love to hear that.
Yeah, I have one particular student that I worked very closely with last year for the first semester. This particular student was dealing with so much anger and anxiety. Sometimes he would spend a couple of periods a day with me. Yeah, getting in fights all the time. Actually started coming to school drunk. Just a lot of issues. He eventually got expelled and is now at the community day school. But we were spending so much time together. We would meditate together. We would talk. I would listen. But after a while, there was just not much to really talk about. So we were just kind of spending time together. And it didn't feel like it was doing anything. It didn't feel like it was helping whatsoever. And then, like I said, he got expelled. He went to the community day school, but I still see him. I go to that school every 2 weeks and meet with him. And over the summer, he had some kind of awakening experience, and he just kind of went through this transformation. And he stopped drinking, he stopped fighting, he started meditating on his own every day. And he said to me this year, he's like, Carl, everything that you said to me last year, it all makes sense now. It all makes sense. So I just want to say, like, sometimes you can put a lot of effort and energy into working with the student, and it seems like nothing's happening, but it is happening. And he's still at the CDS school, but his grades are good. He's going to graduate. He's doing much better. And yeah, it was one I almost gave up on, but I didn't, and it paid off.
Great. Thank you, Carl. So great to
Yeah.
hear. Our next question is for Lupe. Lupe, can you tell us some of the key challenges or barriers you've encountered in your role, and whether related to integrating in the school system or managing the student needs or other factors, and how have you worked to overcome this?
Yes, so previously, this is my first time working at a school. So I think that was on its own was one of the biggest challenges. And the challenges I've encountered as a wellness coach has been integrating the role into the school system and helping the staff understand how the wellness coach supports and not replaces other supports on campus. At first, there was some uncertainty about when to refer a student or what services that I provide. But to overcome this, I focus on building relationships and communication with teachers, counselors, and admin. I regularly share updates about students' needs and collaborate so that they see that the Wellness Center is a partner in supporting the whole student body. Another challenge is managing the high level of student need, especially when students are dealing with stress, trauma, or basic need insecurity. To address this, I build a strong community partnership and streamline our referral process so that students can get support faster. Some of my highlights of being a wellness coach have been teaching yoga sessions. So we have Wellness Wednesdays here at our school, which has our Butte Behavioral Health come in and do some morning wellness stuff with our students. And then I do the teaching of yoga during lunch with our students. I just had today my second student that actually taught the yoga in the wellness center, and I'm having students come in and just be like, "Hey, I want to teach today. Can I do that?" And so just showing them how to be a leader and how to lead and just, be able to get into my spot and be confident in that spot is just my biggest highlight for me. As well as hosting bracelet making every other Friday, which gives them a creative and calming outlet to connect with themselves and other peers. These moments remind me of how important it is to create spaces on campus where students feel safe, supported, and seen.
Thank you so much, Lupe. I just switched my audio. I'm hoping it sounds a little better. Can someone give me a heads up, panelist, if you can hear me okay? Okay, thank you. So I'm going to go to Brittany. Brittany, the certified wellness coach role emphasizes care coordination and navigation services. Can you explain how you connect students and their families to appropriate in-school supports, such as school-based health centers or wellness centers, or external community resources?
Of course. So within my site, we have an MTSS team where teachers are able to refer students that are in need or just social emotional needs, behavior needs. So in that way, we all come together as a team. We collaborate. We go down like the data that we have through Saber's data to see if they're high risk students or not, and just kind of see if they would be better placed within my services as an S3 for tier 2 or going to tier 3 with clinician. So teachers able to input those services for students, or also myself, just being outside, being present, I'm able to kind of see which students are in need and kind of, talking to the team with their school psychologist that either being if they need to be referred with BHRS, outside services, clinician, or myself. So just having that connection and collaboration with the team, we're able to, coordinate and connect with students and kind of get them the right placement that they need so they could, be well off. And then also with the wellness room. So every Wednesday, I open the wellness room for for students. So students are able to come in, teachers are we let them know that they're able to send students who they see in their class because they're the one that spend the most time with them, that they see that if they're struggling or just having an off day, they're able to come to the wellness room on Wednesdays as well. And then not only that, but also when it comes to families, we do family engagement where I present to families, let them know about my services, who our school psychologist. School psychologist is our social skills facilitator, and just letting them know about the services that are available. And then throughout the school year, just letting them know about any services that they're able to come and sign up for family engagement to learn a little bit more, even what's outside in our community for their students, and as well as just following up with students, checking in with them, and overall just having that connection with families has really helped out with being able to identify and help them whenever it comes to what appropriate school base are needed for them. And then we also have a community liaison who's able to support families with outside services, either grief services, or if they're in need of any assistance with like clothing, or assistance with like gas or housing. So we have those different connections, and just letting them know that not only am I here, our admin are here, but also our community liaison and our school psychologist who is able to, help them and guide them up with any services that are needed.
Great. Thank you so much, Brittany. Okay, wellness coaches, I'm going to ask you to answer your next question as succinctly as you can so that we can get through the rest of the questions in the time we have. I'm sorry to have to rush us. There's so many great questions coming through the chat as well. But I'm going to go to Jasmine. Can you describe the process of conducting a warm handoff to a licensed or credentialed or associate behavioral health provider when a student really requires a higher level of care?
Yeah, and I want to say Brittany did a great job of describing what it looks like when we do hand them off and make those decisions of saying the student needs that greater support. So talking about it as a team, it's never a single person decision. So when that does come up, if the clinician is a person who is on our site, I do like to partner with that person and say, hey, would you come to my room and let's do an intro together. Before that, I will tell the student, hey, we're going to be working together and we're going to be talking about moving you over to meet with our clinician, and I'll tell them about them, who they are. She or he comes to our school on such and such date. I'm going to introduce you to them on X, Y, or Z day. By this time, I've always already gathered parent consent and got to talking to parents, letting parents know about what's going on and why they're being referred over to the clinician setting, and then letting them know. However, for the most part, students that are referred to a clinical setting are going to be referred outside of the school because our limited resources. So because of that, I'll let them know, hey, we're going to be referring you to a clinician, somebody that might work with you like I've been working with you, but is going to do it on a deeper level with better and bigger skills. I always try to really emphasize that it's a better opportunity for them so that they're excited about it and that they're really looking forward to it, because we want them to seek that help and to look forward to it and want to do it. Because sometimes they feel really comfortable with you because they know you. You're a familiar person, you're a safe person, but we want them to really accept it. So that's what we really try to push them for that. And so I really push them and tell them like, this is so exciting, make it a really big deal. And I'm really excited for them. And I'm happy to still check in with them once every couple of weeks for a couple of times. And then we really try to push them away and off to let them continue with their services elsewhere.
Thanks so much for that. Dawn, can you just talk a little bit about how you feel your background and maybe shared lived experiences contribute to your ability to connect with students from diverse backgrounds, really aligning with the program's goal to have a more representative workforce?
I think I do want to mention that I have been a teacher for most of 2 decades, and being on school campuses and familiar with how schools work has been really beneficial. Seeing how kids interact with one another at different grade levels has also been really helpful. And the need for social emotional learning is paramount because it's so hard for students, for anyone to learn if they are, having fight or flight, experiences, or they're just not able to concentrate. And so meeting their basic needs is really important. Part of the basic needs is having someone who can see them for who they are. And we have lots of marginalized students who don't fit into the boxes that society places on them. And of course, I could go on for hours about that, but I am a person who has come from extreme poverty. I have, lived in a household that was dangerous as a child. There was violence, there was sexual assault, there was a lot of stuff that I don't necessarily talk to kids about. I refer them to a counselor for those things. That is not my job, but I can be present with them. I can allow them to be without judgment. And I'm also a member of the LGBTQ community. And I think that we have lots of students, particularly now, who are not feeling safe, either at home or at school, and just making a place for them where they can be themselves and not feel judged. It's a safe place. It's a welcoming place. Yeah, I think, those are pretty much the main things. I know that we're limited on time, but just having my own life experiences and also paying attention to other people's life experiences and expanding what students see and what they who they interact with, and knowing that there are lots of people, not everyone is the same.
Great. Thank you for sharing that and your personal connection as well. Okay, we're gonna get through a couple more questions before we wrap up today. Tristan, I wanted to ask you about how other staff people on campus, teachers, administrators, other existing mental health professionals, how have they responded to the integration of certified wellness coaches? This is new for schools. And how does it fit in as a complementary support? And is there perceived overlap? Is there tension around that?
Yeah, I would say that a really important quality of someone who has this role is someone who's worked in a school environment before, because there's a lot of dynamics at play that you already automatically have a leg up if you already know how a school operates. And to keep in mind and to iterate to those teachers and the staff members, the priority that you have as a wellness coach is that a student is in class and learning. And because that's the objective of the teacher. And so right off the bat, for like 3 weeks when I was there, I was just in the classrooms. I just sat with the students, I'd help them, I'd work with them. And that gave a lot of gave a lot of sway to those teachers buying into what I was doing, because then I could kind of feed off of what I was talking about earlier with that release valve, because they would see it and then they'd see the result of it. The kid would come back and then I'd be sitting with that kid doing the work. So that's something that I would say ultimately was the key to making it all work, is like your investment 100% into the kid. And the way I operate is I'm rarely in my office. Like, I'm usually walking around. I try to see as many kids as I can in a day. But the reality of it is that you have to sell it to those people, and you're going to sell it by convincing those teachers that your whole goal, which is true, your whole goal is to make it so that those students have an opportunity to learn. So learning what their schedules are, if the kids have certain interventions, if they're on IEPs, never taking kids away from that specific time that's needed for that extra intervention, is super important. And the response from that is just like total buy-in, because they're super happy with it. Now, I'm in a very rural environment. There isn't really other there isn't another consistent presence of mental health education or professionals at my school at this time. And so there isn't really an overlap or a complementary dynamic. But I do see that if that person was there, and I am prepared for that person to be there, that my role the approach would be the exact same. And I think that would probably be a very successful approach for anyone trying to scale it to a larger campus.
Great. Thank you so much, Tristan. Sakina, I got two little final questions for you. Can you give an example of a successful collaboration with other school personnel where your role as a certified wellness coach significantly enhanced the support for a student or group of students on campus?
Yes. So, with wellness coaches, it looks very different for, each site. And I think it's important to focus on like the referral system. Again, that's different for each site. And so for me, I want to point out my collaboration with my social worker. And so the way that we go ahead and get referrals is in our MTSS process, which is our multi-tiered system of supports. And that could look different. People may call it a care team. Every school site calls it something different. But essentially, it's a group of people that are basically supporting and identifying and addressing the students' needs, right? I mean, if it's behavioral, if it's academic, right? And so within that MTSS process, essentially our social worker does get the referrals that are like, okay, this person needs to do a check-in, and this person needs like, tier 3 or tier 2 or tier 1 support, etc. And so collaborating with my social worker is really important because, oftentimes, especially in meetings like that, we're getting so many students, being trickled down, and oftentimes we want to help everyone, right? And so it's important that we understand that although we want to help, it doesn't mean the services we have is what they need, right? And so collaborating with my social worker looks like, okay, well, the teacher really thinks that they can go ahead and get some services on continuous skill development, right? Maybe time management or et cetera. But while working with my social worker, we know like, hey, this is not about time management. Maybe this is, something to do with undiagnosed ADHD, right? And so them being put into wellness coach to be supporting with like time management might not be beneficial with them. It might in some ways maybe harm them, right? Or they're just so sleepy and they're not being responsive in class and they're not turning in homework, and so we're just going to put them in wellness coaching to help them with that skill set. But maybe it's deeper than that, right? It can be, right, like anxiety or depression or something like that. So being able to collaborate with my social worker in multiple instances of knowing and recognizing symptoms and things with our kids and not putting them in spaces that's not required, right? And so me generalizing this is saying, collaborating with my social worker with every student that I've had is important, and has enhanced the work because we're not just putting them in services because the service is there. We're putting them in being intentional with the services we're providing. And so, collaborating with especially that MTSS, whatever, support system that you have is so important, and whoever really directs the referral, because we don't want to have students to be served if that's not going to benefit them, right? Pulling them out of class, taking them away. And so that collaboration is really important. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And, I know several questions have come in about the connection to the fee schedule, the CYBHI fee schedule, as a way to support student mental health in schools. And certified wellness coaches have recently been approved as billable providers under specific codes. Mm-hmm. From talking with you all, I know that there's different circumstances in your different school districts and orgs around where you are in that process. Some are not in a pathway to bill, some are. But Sakina, what is the future in your role in terms of potential billing under the fee schedule?
Well, I'll say like we are in a good position to bill under the CYBHI fee schedule because it's school linked, right? It's a school linked setting. So as long as the requirements are met, like it's pretty easy to kind of move forward, right? And again, those requirements look a little bit different in the sense of like how we, bring that to fruition, but the requirements are there. So if that's met, and since the role is somewhat new, it's what I believe effective January 1st, 2025. So there's still like many operational pieces that are being finalized still, right? But the path is really clearly laid out. So over the next several years, I expect like within our role to be more embedded and maybe even expanded with wellness coaching in schools, because like the idea of billing within the school system is to create the sustainability part of behavioral health ecosystem, right? And so the way it looks like is as long as those basic requirements are met, we are able to go ahead and move forward with billings because the pathway is there and it's already laid out.
Yes, thank you. We're learning still a lot about the fee schedule connection. I know we'll have future workshops and webinars that can get more into those details as we have more experience there. But our time is up. I just want to give a huge thank you to our panelists for sharing your time and your stories and your wisdom and the incredible work that you're doing in schools. We could have talked much longer. We have so many questions that we didn't get to, but I want our attendees to know that we will be sending out the recording, the slides, which include some links to resources for you to learn more. We're also happy to field any follow-up questions that you have. We don't have all the answers, but we will try to point you in the right direction. And our final ask of you is if you could please spend like another minute. Once you close out of this webinar, you'll see a very quick evaluation that's going to pop up. I promise you it won't take you long, but it would be really helpful for us to know how this went for you. Again, thank you to our panelists and best for the rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you.
And lots of thank yous in the chat.